Spectrum internet is not the best. I'm really sick of not symmetrical gigabit, but it is what it is. I get, what is it that I have? It's like 50 up and a gigabit down, but I miss my symmetrical fiber. One day. Let's see if this even works. So, yeah, it looks like it's live. It's like 50 up and a gigabit down. Okay, I'm messing with camera settings. Okay, that's set to 1080 output. That's good. And video capture properties. Configure video. Match output FPS. That should be on 60. That's good. And properties again. Configure video. Come on. Exposure. I don't want auto exposure. Let's see. There, that looks a little bit better. Not terrible because the lighting, I'm still working on the good lighting in here. We don't need that for now, so that looks better. Throw some of this crap away that's on my desk. Go back to, your voice is very quiet. Let me see. It's almost clipping, so I'm just talking quiet. But I can try and up it more from Windows settings. That's the whole point of doing this stream, is to mess around with settings, because this is the first time I've done any kind of YouTube stuff in like 7 months. Let's see here. No, recording. Properties, levels, oh, that's at 100. That's at 100. Let me see. Down, but I miss my symmetrical fiber. One day. Let's see if this even works. So, yeah, it looks like it's live. It's like 50 up and a gigabit down. Okay, let me go into properties, advanced audio properties, and I'm gonna up it. Okay, now let's see, we'll clip. Yeah, that's gonna clip, so that's about as high as I can push it. Maybe that's better, maybe it's not, but I'm not really talking the loudest either. Okay, so when's the last time I did a YouTube video? Mic is right here. It's not too far away. The last time I did a YouTube video was, gosh, six months ago was the move-in video to this office. Then 8 months ago was my last official real video, which was a long time ago. I haven't really done anything. The channel really hasn't grown, and I've been busy with a bunch of stuff, both personally and work-related. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm just going to grab a machine. I want to see, so I'm streaming off of this thing. Now, the funny thing about this thing is we're going to see this. firsthand. We're gonna see this firsthand. Let's see, display capture. Can it even do 4K? No capture. LG Ultrafine. There we go. Come on, you're gonna be. Can this thing even maintain 4K? So this is running a 4K external monitor while streaming to OBS. Let's see here. So, what do we have here? What am I streaming off of? What am I streaming off of? This is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 12 core. So it kind of sucks right now with OBS because it's running through a translation layer, so the CPU usage is pretty high. But it's only at 16% in Task Manager. Memory's fine. Yeah, it's 8 gigahertz. It's pretty damn fast. It's using the GPU, and so you know what? It's not doing too bad right now. It does not like 4K. When I tried to do 4K recording, it did not like that at all. But it seems to be handling just fine right now. So, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to see if it can maintain to see if it's even feasible. I prefer to use this because this is my main machine right now, and you know, it's kind of nice to use. So I'd kind of prefer to keep it there, to keep it like this. But you know what? If I can't, then whatever. We'll figure out an option. So I feel free to not watch this at all. I want to see if this is going to be able to maintain and stream and see how it does. So I set up this new little area in the office, kind of away from the chaos, into a nice calm back part of the building for recording. So hopefully soon I will jump back into doing YouTube videos because it's been a long time coming, and I need to do it business-wise. There's, you know, some changes that are happening business-wise, but you know, is what it is. So hopefully the audio sounds good. I have a new microphone. I ditched the face mic because here's the thing about the face mic that bothered me always. The thing about the face mic is it would always get caught on my chair, get caught on stuff like that, so it makes more sense just to do this. So I'm still working on the backdrop. I got this stupid thing and I don't like it. It's silly looking, so we're gonna do something else, but I had to try it. So let me just share this here. To get rid of that thumbnail. Alright, I'm just going to grab some stuff to reassemble. No fix stuff, unfortunately, because that is the state of current MacBook repair. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So I will be right back. I'm going to go around. Alright, so I'm just going to put back together this A2442 that was irreparably damaged by another repair shop, sadly. So this has been happening a lot. A lot of these repair shops will send in these devices that they ruin, and there's nothing I can really do. I had one that, yeah, I did a video on a board that had a massive internal short. I dug a hole, and some repair shop, not this board, but another one, decided it's a good idea to just make a random hole in the board to see if it would fix it. Spoiler, it didn't fix it. So don't make a hole in the board for no reason. Yeah, just stuff like that is just, it's been rampant with shops doing stuff like that. So yeah, I've been feeling the frustration regarding that, but you know what, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I highly, like, I do these videos for educational purposes. I teach for educational purposes, and you know, like, at least try and make good decisions. That's all I could say is decisions. You know, try and make good decisions, and generally making a random hole in a board on the scale of decisions is probably not the best decision you could make, especially when customers' data is at stake. I kind of like this back room. It's nice and chill versus the front, which is busy and so, talking about business, I no longer feel that MacBook repair is a viable business. Why? Let's talk about it. So, when we talk about board level repair, okay, let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to, like, when I started doing this, it was 2015, 2016. Okay, 2016. So we had the A1466, the A1502, the A1398, you know, all those machines. And those boards usually failed in a fixable way. And there would be one dead CPU in the, you know, in the pile. Not a big deal. Then came the A1707, A1706. Those were fine. It was a little bit of a learning curve coming to USB-C. Not a huge deal. You know, those were decently fixable. But then the problem with those is the screens started getting very expensive. Okay, the A1707 screen is like $700. The A1707 screen is still $700, which makes it very difficult when people want a repair and you tell them, well, the screen is $700, and they look at you like you're insane. Anyway, A1707, the boards were still fixable. A1707, you know, sometimes you'd have dead CPU, dead PCH on A1707 was relatively common, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I could swap an A1707 PCH with ease now. Then came the A1990 with the T2. Okay. Now the T2 added a whole nother variable, and that whole other variable is, make sure everything's good here. That whole other variable is firmware faults. Okay, you still could have firmware faults in A1707 or really all the machines with BIOS issues. But the T2, talk about the T2. The T2 was integrating a whole nother system on the board. So you had two CPUs. You essentially had an iPhone board on the MacBook board, and that was a pain. Just dealing with that, you'd get weird faults. So sometimes, Paul Daniels, nice to see you here. So as long as I keep up with ceramic caps, there's some chance of business, but the trick is to ditch all the failures in 10 minutes. Exactly. I 100% agree with you that. And that's where I'm going to get at. So the firmware faults add a whole nother layer, you know, of am I dealing with a hardware fault? Am I dealing with a firmware fault? Well, how do you know? You really don't. You go based on symptoms. We've done our best of trying to figure out what symptoms mean what and go from there. Keys out of here, by the way. Okay, we learned how to deal with it, but then, you know, after a few years, these devices started getting dusty. Imagine that, just dusty. The SSDs started failing because the 2v5 regulators failed. I had a period Was it here? I've probably had many of these periods. So the A2141 for a while was our #1 most worked on devices here. I had a period where, I kid you not, I probably made $1,000 total in repair. And the reason being was because everything had a dead SSD. And you may be saying, well, how do you know it's a dead SSD? Well, because the SSD shorts very obviously. And yeah, that's sad how many people I've had to tell, including, I can't tell you who this person was, but it was a very famous musician. Or someone, not, I shouldn't say a very famous musician, but a producer for a very famous musician who produced a very famous, well-known song that lost the SSD on a 2141 of no fault of his own. His machine was just dusty. It happens. And yeah, I had to tell him your data's gone. And so many cases like that, I had to say the data's gone. Then came the A2338, A2337. The first time I looked at these boards, I actually bought one. I'm like, wow, this is a really well-designed board. Everything is simplistic. Everything is great. And the A2338 and the A2337 were both very good machines. And I'm thinking, okay, finally, things are going to change. Then they came out with a 14 and 16 inches. And I also bought one to look at, and it all changed. The A2442 and the A20 or 2485 and up from there were kind of a mess. The boards were very complicated. They went back to the 4,000 components on the board, and those also fail in very strange ways. What I see a lot of, and I can't I haven't not confirmed this yet, but I've ruled out pretty much everything else this can be. There's this one particular fault that affects mainly the M1 Pro. And when you look at the M1 Pro, the CPU is actually very elongated. Okay, it's long, it's spread out, and it's long. These devices will get to 20 volts, and one thing we've learned on the M1 is when they get to 20 volts, you should boot. Okay, 20 volts means the processor's communicating with everything. Everything's good power-wise. Usually if there's a power level fault, it's going to be stuck at 20 volts. It means the processor's getting power. The processor's starting to boot. You should, at that point, boot up. Well, what we're seeing with these 14, and I have several here right now, these 14 and 16 inches with the M1 Pro, mostly 16 inches that do this, but some 14 inches. With the M1 Pro, is they'll get to 20 volts, they'll cycle, get to 20 volts, cycle, get to 20 volts, cycle off, back to 20 volts, cycle off. And the only thing that this can be is a dead CPU at this point, because I've went through several of these. I've tried solving them. I've replaced the PMICs. I've gone through every rail in the machine, done thermal imaging, everything. Everything checks out. So in my mind, that has to be in the SoC. I don't know for sure, but to me that awfully seems like, oh, every screw is going to be stripped in this machine. This is what I mean about shops that, like, let me get a bigger bit here because the T4 is not going to work, so I'm going to need to get a T6 or something. Actually, I'm just going to leave that screw out. Who cares? It's stripped. I did not strip it. If you want to complain about a missing screw because you stripped it in the first place, then I will gladly send that to junk mail, is what it is. Sadly, the A2337-8 were the little glimmers of hope, only to be crushed thereafter, including the new MacBook Air machines, their horrible assembly designs. Oh yeah, and you want to know the thing about the new MacBook Airs? Don't spill liquid on it, because you want to know how the new MacBook Airs fail? I'll show you. Let me grab one. So the new MacBook Air is... Hang on one second. Okay. I don't have my microscope, so I can't show you. But this is an M3 MacBook Air. Okay? This is an M3 MacBook Air. And what happens with these, the FPCs for the screen will burn. The screen connector will burn. the board will burn. The connectors on the board will burn. Where can I get a donor board for this? I really can't. I have to go on eBay and try and find one that's iCloud locked for $500, and then I get one repair out of it because they always burn right here. So this particular device, in order for this to work again, the screen, it needs a $700 screen. It needs board repair, so that replace all those connectors. I have to run jumper wires on the other side because the board is cratered. And then I tell the customer, okay, you need a new screen. That's around $700, $650 something for the part. Then you need board repair. That's $450 because, you know, it's $450 to fix a board. I'm not going lower than that really for something like this. Nobody's going to approve that for a $1,200 machine. This machine, this M3 MacBook Air, this is designed to not really be repairable in my mind. It's an iPad. This is an iPad disguised as a MacBook. It sucks to take apart to work on. I would not buy one of these. And cooling, there's no real cooling. So, in my mind, these new machines, repair on these new Apple machines is just not viable anymore. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's at the point where, especially here, you have to remember something. The most stuff that I get really oftentimes is worked on by 2, 3, 4 other people sometimes. How it really works is, especially from on stuff from other repair shops, is they go to Facebook person number A, okay? That person might not fix it, so then they send it to Facebook person number B. That person can't fix it, so then they send it to me and expect me to do something. And they expect it to be done within a day, and that's not going to happen when there's flux all over the board. So that's the state of repairs that I get. So moving forward, so there's some changes. So right now, the biggest moneymaker of my business is the flux and thermal paste. I've been debating completely dropping repair, and that's really not going to happen right now. Another strip screw. I'm going to set that one aside. Okay, this is just caused by using the wrong screwdriver, and not knowing when to stop, basically. So, for the amount of money that you make on a board repair, in my opinion now, these jobs are not worth it anymore, because the amount of time that they take, all these screws are stripped. Come on, people. Hang on one second. Let me go grab a different screwdriver. Okay. So we're going to try and use a T6 to put some of these screws back in because they stripped the hell out of them. Where was I? Yeah, if they had stuck with the older MacBook Air design, that would have been fine. And those designs still exist, okay? This laptop here uses a design like that. I probably can't show you because it's streaming and... Let's see, maybe. Is the cord long enough? Is the cord long enough? Let me see. It's toasty. No, I can't. The bottom is held on by magnets on this, and every screw is marked. Okay, I can't tell you how many different screws are in each of these machines. There's probably 5 or 6 different size screws in this machine. Stripped rounded torque heads or threads. Maybe they thought they were working on a Ram truck engine. Yeah, I don't know. Just the head is all stripped. They used a wrong bit for sure. In addition to the wrong bit, they ruined a connector. They destroyed the screen connector. They destroyed the screen cable. They ripped a MOSFET off the board. They ripped another resistor off the board. Let's see, what else did they do? Oh yeah, they ripped the Touch ID connector and cable. Yeah, I don't know, but back to the T5. Okay, back to the different screw size. This is a Surface Laptop 7. It has like 3 different screw size. It tells you on the board it's marked what type of bit it is with an arrow next to it. Battery has no adhesive. It's held in by 8 screws. The bottom actually does have 4 Torx screws, but it's held on by magnets. I removed the Torx screws. The board is simple. So moving forward, I don't want to, I mean, I guess I could speak about it. So here's my plan. Ultimately, I do not want to handle the amount of volume that I handle anymore. It does not make sense to process hundreds of machines and get only a handful that are fixable. To me, that doesn't make sense. To come out making, 250 to 450 a machine. So, looking at companies like Drive Savers, Secure Data, We Recovered, all those big companies, they're charging like $3,500 to $5,000 per machine, and they're getting repairs in. They're getting a ton in. I know that they get a ton in. I feel like I've built a reputation now that I can charge end user data recovery. I feel like I can charge $1,000 and get repairs in. Charging $1,000, some people are gonna give me crap about it, but you know what? That's honestly, to me, that seems like a reasonable rate for the amount of difficulty and the amount of time that these devices are taking now. These M1s, M2s, M3s take a long time to diagnose. They're very time consuming, very complex circuits, and to get data off, I think $1,000 is more than reasonable. I plan to continue repair until at least January. No, I should say at least December. I plan on continuing standard repair. After December, I don't know. I am going to be making a few changes in my personal life because that light is going to flicker and go out. I know it is. The stupid ring light I bought today is having problems already. The first microphone I bought, this microphone, the first one I got, didn't work. I had to return it. Now, the ring light doesn't work. Or it's about to not work here in a second. I'm burnt out. Personally, mentally, I'm burnt out. I'm sick of the constant waking up every morning to complaining emails because these devices are not able to be fixed quickly. It's getting old. And you may say, well, hire someone. Well, it doesn't really make sense to hire someone when you have to sift through 20 machines to get maybe a couple that are fixable because they've all been screwed with other people. It doesn't make sense. I need a change. I know I've been trying to keep doing repairs. I've been hoping it would get better. It really has not gotten better. So it's time I change to focusing on data recovery and products. With upping my rates for data recovery, for one, okay, data recovery makes more sense because a lot of times on, let's say, liquid damage repair, on an A1398, a 1466, a 1502, you fix the board, you're good to go. Well, now on a lot of these new machines, you fix the board, then it has a bad screen, then it has a bad keyboard, then people don't want to pay for it, so I've wasted all my time fixing the board only for now to not get paid for anything. With data recovery, it doesn't matter. You recover the data, doesn't matter if the screen works, doesn't matter if the camera works. People pay, they're happy to get their data back. That's where I need to pivot my business, because I know my skills are good, okay? People on Facebook, cell phone repair shop talk might not think so, but I know what I'm doing. I know I can fix stuff. I know that I am one of the better people to fix a motherboard on a MacBook in the country. So my skills, I feel like, are better spent on data recovery, solving hard cases, getting people's data back, and to do that, my time is valuable, and my time is not really worth $250, to fix the board. I need to be doing data recovery. Now, at any given time, there's anywhere from 25 to 50 machines in. That's about what it is. During COVID, there was probably 150 to 300. However, that 2050, only a very small margin of those machines now are fixable. Now you may think, well, maybe it's just because you don't know what I'm doing. No, it is because these machines are built like crap. They're overcomplicated, they fail in unfixable ways, and when you get somebody that's messed with it prior, it absolutely kills your chances of anything, valuable being able to be saved. So data recovery makes more sense. Now let's talk about the flux and thermal paste business. I don't talk about it a lot. Okay, a lot of people probably think, oh, you must not be doing a lot because you don't see products out of stock. That's not true. I can't talk about I'm probably going to get myself into trouble if I keep talking, but there is other brands of thermal paste out there that are my product, that are being labeled as other companies. And there's more than one, okay? There's more than one company like that floating around. And it's funny because I've seen there was a Facebook post on something, and someone was saying, oh, don't use TCRS thermal paste. That paste is bad. Use this brand of thermal paste. This is better. This is what I use on everything. And I wanted so bad to just be like, hey, buddy, guess what? But guess what? I couldn't say it. But the other brand was my paste as well. A different, maybe a little bit of a different blend, but it was engineered here. But that part of the business is what is keeping me afloat. Okay, the thermal paste and flux is still very much alive, and it is getting better. So this is another blend that, here's the thing about flux. Here's the thing about flux that I've really come to realize is people are so picky about it, okay? There's some people that they don't like the color of this one. They don't like the smell of this one. It's like, okay, one of the complaints I get is, when I first started, it was the Citrus Flow was, oh, it's too dark. Well, I solved that because I got better sources of rosin. Then it was, oh, I don't like the citrus smell. It's like, okay, great, let's go to something else. Let's find, and I spent so much time and money trying to figure out what was in the original NC559V2, the pine scent. Figured that one out, released that. Then it's, oh, it smells too much like pine. And then it's, oh, it's too clear because that particular ingredient, it'll make the flux pretty clear because it holds one of the ingredients in suspension really well. So with fluxes, you kind of have to have more than one out there because people want, something different. So this is something new that I'm going to be releasing very soon. This is 759 ASPX3, but the color of this is very much like NC559. It's very opaque. It's, the very, very similar consistency. So I'm pretty excited about that. And there's a lot of chemistry and a lot of engineering went into that. But it's actually going to be quite a bit cheaper than the 759 ASX. No pleasing people, exactly. And that's the thing about the thermal paste too. It's like I'll get people that'll say, oh, well, I squirted a little bit out and there was a little bit of oil that came out. Like, yeah, it's a mixture of oil and a solid. All thermal paste will do that. And even like the Parker Thermogel, not Thermogel, Thermogap. Thermogel is mine. Thermogap, Parker Thermogap that Apple uses. that even separates. All brands of thermal paste do that. It is the nature of having a low density fluid in a high density solid. It will separate to some degree. You don't want it to separate too excessively, and that's why I don't like silicone oil for thermal paste, because then you have to start doing some other stuff in the chemistry to keep it from separating. But people will give me crap on that. Oh, it's separated, this and that. Well, yeah, all thermal paste separates to some degree. You don't want it to be, too... okay, this is another screw that the threads are screwed up on. So we're going to leave this out if I can even get it out now. You just want to control the separation. You don't want it to be too excessive. Excessive separation is no good, but there's always going to be some degree of separation. Yeah, I don't have my HDMI anything set up for microscope right now, so this is good enough right now. So yeah, the thermal paste, and back to that. I'm focusing more on releasing more products, but I just haven't had the time because I've been tied up with the other contracts that I have. So the production line's been kind of full, but I've had a little bit of, I've been making more time for my own products. And what I've decided to do, and some of you guys have heard of this, if you've ordered recently, you've seen the new labels and everything, but I'm splitting the thermal paste and flux onto a different brand other than TCRS Circuit. And I'm also coming up with a new brand, mainly to piss drive savers off because that would be fun. But what, no, this is not a home office. No, this is just in my back part of the building, which is calmer. I set this up today. I used to have my board repair station in the front, and I wanted to go in the back room in a dark spot because I like dark places. Yeah, no, this is not home office. I do have a setup at home, but I never use it. And the thing, what started happening is I'm like, you know what? I don't want to work late, so I'm going to set up an office at home. I'm going to bring some machines home. And that didn't work out because you want to know what happens when I get home? I go to sleep. And I'm not going to work on machines when I'm asleep. So, yeah, but no, this is the, and I'll do a tour eventually of this place. I have a lot of space here. Okay, yeah, back to the brand. So, TCRS Circuit is going to remain as the repair and data recovery brand until at least the end of the year. Eventually, it's going to split off into data recovery only. And I will discontinue repair, as I will be doing something else, which I don't know if it's a good idea. I tell people, but I'm going to sort of repair people in some semblance in emergency situations. So I will be doing that probably at least 2 days a week. 24 hours on those 2 days. It depends. That gives me plenty of time otherwise to do data recovery and keep up the flux and thermal paste business. But eventually TCRS Circuit will just remain a data recovery company. Then I'm also coming up with another brand, which is MacDataSavers.com, or MDS for short. This mainly I thought would be a good idea because DriveSavers has datasavers.com and the domain macdatasavers.com was available, so I said, you know what, that's a good idea. I don't know if that'll succeed or not, but you know what, it'll be more exposure for data recovery, is what it is. So I'm going to launch that. The Flux and Thermal Paste brand is being split off into good money in fixing up gunshot wounds and such for the mafia. Yeah, exactly, something like that. The flux and thermal paste is being split off into another brand called Elemental Dynamics. Well, why? Because people get confused when they see TCRS Circuit. It makes more sense to split off into separate brands, because when they see TCRS Circuit, they think, okay, repair. Then they see Flux, and they get confused. Then they try and look for repairs on the Flux website, and they don't see it. So it makes more sense to have it split off into another brand, which would be Elemental Dynamics. Now I'm also working on some other stuff. I had a short, if you followed on Facebook, you probably saw the short run of cleaners and everything, which ultimately did not work out because the partner that I was working on that decided that they thought I was a bad person and left, and yeah, it just did not work out. However, some of the formulas will be slightly modified and then sold under Elemental Dynamics. So this is the cleaner. If you like the scent of NC559V2, then yeah, this has the same ingredient, which is also a very good cleaner. It smells like that flux as a cleaner, which is interesting. But yeah, this smells like the original NC559 as a cleaner, and it works very well. That'll come out eventually. The fluxes are going to come out under that brand as well as the thermal paste. The thermal gel is going to get replaced soon as well, or released soon under that brand too. I'm just working on the website. I can give you a little peek of the logo and everything. So let me pull that up real quick. Is it on here? I think so. I'm surprised how well this Snapdragon is handling this. It's really just, I mean, the laptop is blazing hot, like it's almost burning me hot, but you know what? Who cares? Yeah, that burns to touch the top of this thing. That's funny. But it's not slowing down. It's still just going 35% CPU at 2.8 gigahertz, so it's throttling a bit, but whatever. Canva. So yeah, let me download this. Download. No transparent background for right now. The Elemental Dynamics, I feel like, better represents the brand of the flux and thermal paste because, you know, it splits off into something separate and it makes sense for the products being made. And it also gives me the chance to broadify it. Okay, so let's say if I want to come out with something else, I come out with it under that brand. It could be a full-on chemical company. You know, it doesn't have to be necessarily, you know, just flux and thermal paste. So that is the logo and everything. Eventually this will probably get dropped, but yeah, I just want to put that on the labels for now, so people don't get too confused when they see it's gone. But yeah, that's the logo, and I like it. I spent a lot of time designing this, and you know, I think it looks cool, and you know, is what it is there. So that website will be up eventually when I feel like it. You know, it's all when it's finding time because there's so much stuff that some stuff I'm not going to talk about personally, but at least not on here. Some of you guys know, some of you guys don't. But I got a lot on my plate right now. I got a lot on my plate business-wise, got a lot on my plate personal, and this whole year has been chaotic. Like it's been absolutely chaotic on the personal level, on the business level. So it started with, you know what, I'm at my current office. You know, the whole idea with the Marietta location was I wanted to see if walk-in would do better over there. I wanted to see if this would do anything different, and it was walk-in over there was awful compared to here. In this office here, I've been here since February, March, one of those. I don't have a sign. It's in an industrial complex. There's no markings on my door. People come in all the time. They find me. They don't complain. You know what? Walk-in is busier here. What I did, okay, because here's the thing. The other Palmdale location was in a very bad part of town, and I got constant riffraff walking in. I moved to the better, you know, a better, cleaner part of town, and I appointment only. Simple as that. And the thing is, the appointment only weeds out all of the people that were a pain to deal with. And everyone that walks in that makes an appointment is nice to deal with. Everything's great. But yeah, the walk-in, the retail is just not, yeah, it makes more sense. Appointment only. I'm a specialist. I'm a data recovery specialist. This isn't like walk-in, repair, and it makes sense. So Elemental Dynamics, that's going to launch soon. the new products are already shipping with the new labels. So, you know, sorry if it leads any confusion if you try and go to a website that's not active yet, but it'll be up soon. So there's that. Back to talking about business. What happened this year? So it happened I can't even tell you how fast it happened, and probably some people in my immediate friend group probably thought I was insane for this. But the lease was coming up in February. I was going through some personal stuff, and it wasn't really fun down in that area as far as, Marietta, Temecula area. So I said, you know what? One of my friends was in this office. He was moving to a bigger one. It came available. I came to look at it. I'm like, you know what? How much you paying for this? And I just took it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I will lease this, and it is what it is. And then I decided, you know what? I'm just going to make the move. I'm going to close the Marietta office because it really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for business-wise. And what I realized is all the people that were coming there for walking were driving from LA. So it was 2-hour drive from LA here or an hour drive from LA for here. So it just made more sense to do that. That all happened. The weekend I was supposed to move here. So the weekend I was supposed to move here, February 3rd, I was talking on my phone to my dad. I noticed he was kind of breathing a little bit odd, and he says he's had a cold or something. You know what? That's a little bit unusual that you're short of breath from a cold. So I went up to check on him. That was from Marietta, and the first thing I do, because like I said, I am in some form of medical training right now. I'm not going to say exactly what. Check his oxygen level, and it's like 74%. Like, oh crap! You know what? That's no good. That ended up being from influenza, which the flu is a pretty deadly illness, believe it or not. So that happened, and then after that, he was in the hospital for like a week for that. Let's do a CT scan just to see, make sure everything's good in the lungs and everything. And then there's the freaking lung metastasis from something else. So that was fun to deal with. That's finally over. And yeah, it's been a hectic year. It has been a hectic year from repairs, personal stuff, so many levels. So yeah, I haven't had the progress nor time to release the new brand and everything. So yeah, that's that. Let's see, is this thing... YouTube is complaining about something. Drop frames? No. Okay, we're good. Yeah, and reassembling these new machines, it used to be, a real easy few screws back together. Now it's like a huge project to reassemble these things. I swear, it's a literal project each time to reassemble these. Come on. So many different screws, so many different types of screws. Yeah, it's just a nightmare. So yeah, now I'm not plugging this back in. This is the Touch ID connector that they've ruined. That's going in the trash. I'm sorry. Wi-Fi, we can do Wi-Fi. Oh, lovely. The Wi-Fi connectors are broken too. Imagine that. You know what's sad? And this is the sad thing about this. I will say most times DIY repair attempts are less brutal than repair attempts from other repair shops. Other repair shops have a way of completely just destroying everything. Like you're supposed to be professionals. Come on, guys. Alright, that's not getting plugged back in because it is destroyed. I'm just going to put the shield on it. That's going to hold it. But yeah, that cannot plug in a connector that the literally destroyed. Where did that screw go? It ran away. Right there. Almost done. Pretty much it that I can do. Battery screw. I'm not going to go out of my way to replace strip screws on a no-fix device that's been ruined, so. Battery I'm going to leave unplugged because there's loose stuff in here and I'm not going to risk that. RSI repairs. It's good to see you back on a stream. Yeah, I'm going to do it more. That's why I set up this new area in the office. Hopefully we'll get, more videos and stuff in soon. Missing a screw. Nope. Got that last one right here. this one does not have screws. Is there any additional in the bag? Nope. Alright, so now we are going to get the bottom panel, and this one is good to go. Well, it's not good to go, it's just a no fix, but get the point. This thing here, why did I agree to fix this HP? Alright, bottom panel. That's going to be pretty much it for tonight. I think it's 12:24. I'm going to get something to eat and get out of here. So I'm probably going to end the stream. I just wanted to see if the new setup is working. It does seem to be working. The video quality is not the best, but it's not the worst either. I wish I could get this to look a little bit better, but you know what? It's not that bad. Let me make sure it's on 1080, 60. Okay. Use hardware decoding. Yes, try that. Yeah, it's not terrible. This thing is blazing hot, but you know what? I don't care. It's doing its thing. Hopefully once OBS releases a native ARM64 build, this will be a lot better, but this isn't doing terrible. I mean, yeah, it's blazing hot, but you know, look at this, shared GPU memory, only 1.2 gigabytes used. And the thing, yeah, I don't know, it just seems a lot less weighed down than even like the Ryzen ThinkPad that I had. It's completely usable even with, you know, 30% CPU usage, which really isn't bad. Yeah, is what it is. Yeah, I might look into getting a different type of camera, because this is just off USB. It's really not that great, but it's not the worst either. I need to get more USB ports in here. So this is just a set. I just set this up today. This whole area is just set up today. That looks kind of dumb. I think I need to add something to it. So what I'm going to do for a backdrop here, I'm going to get a shelf. There's going to be a shelf and there's going to be plants on it. Probably fake plants because hell if I can take care of a live plant and have it live longer than a week. But yeah, I might get some plants or some type of backdrop to complement it, maybe with some more lighting. This lighting is just the ring light right now. There's no other, you know, room lights on or anything like that, and I like it that way. It's a lot more peaceful compared to, you know, having the fluorescent lights, which kind of bother me to begin with. Alright, that's it for today, or tonight. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully it'll be soon. Yeah, I'll try and do streams or videos more often. Probably videos, but I like the casual streams too, but if people watch them. But thank you for watching. I'll see you in the